everyone, it's Chris, the PDX Picker. Welcome back to the Little Shop of Hoarders. We got another video pulling a few orders, a couple of orders, 3 orders that have sold for me over the last 2 days. This is going to be a multi-day video because sales are crappy with a capital C. It's really bad. I don't understand. Things are so bad that I can't even afford to get a haircut. And my wife is my hair cutter. That's how bad things are. Stick around after the intro song. We'll get to pulling those orders and talking about ways that hopefully I'll be able to turn this around.
Wanna buy that Farrah Fawcett poster? There's dispensers and a toaster. Don't know why. That kind of stuff you throw away. I'll sell on eBay.
Alright, so like I said, 3 orders. 1 on Poshmark, 2 on eBay. One of them is actually really good. So let's start with the 2 not as good orders. One is awful. So let's start with that one. Let's start with the worst possible order. Something that nobody's going to be interested in looking at, right? Box 29. I've had these so long. So long. I don't remember anything about them, other than I probably paid a couple of dollars. And they're just a pair of Converse shoes, low top, Converse All-Stars, low tops, white. I mean, the condition on them is great. Couldn't get anybody to buy them. Finally had to list them at $3.74. Hope y'all were sitting down because you were probably just blown away by how much money I made off of that. Plus shipping. Plus shipping, at least. $3.74. Yeah, at least 2 years those have been listed. And then I sold I was actually surprised that this sold. I sold a North Face sweater on Poshmark for $18. The reason I'm surprised is when I went to list this, there was nothing about it. There was no model name or style code or anything that I could come up with to differentiate this from all the other orders out there. Not orders, listings out there. It's like a turtleneck, acrylic. What's it called? What did I put in the title? North Face women's wool and acrylic A5 series sweater. Well, okay, apparently all that stuff that I just said, not true. There are a few styles and stuff in there. Anyway, I can't remember. I think $4 I paid for that. That's usually what I'm paying for clothes nowadays, is unless it's a really good brand, I can't even think of any off the top of my head. Fjallraven, Arc'teryx, things like that. If it's a really good brand like that, I try not to pay anything more than $8 for. But this is about $4, and I sold for $18 plus shipping. The one good sale of the day. Listed this, and it sold in mere minutes. I picked up a Vitamix at an estate sale over the weekend. This is my first Vitamix. Cleaned it up, tested it out. I paid... It's kind of hard to decide how much I paid. I paid $50 for everything, including this Vitamix. And I got a lot of stuff, a lot of value in those items. So we'll just say I spent $5 on this Vitamix. And that included, of course, the motor, the base, the pitcher, 2 pitchers, and a tamper plunger. So I sold the base and the pitcher and the tamper. The other pitcher is a dry goods. Like if you're chopping up nuts or making flour or whatever. That's the pitcher for that. But anyway, this right here, the Vitamix 5200, sold in mere minutes, $175.95, plus $25 shipping. Love that one because that actually made it worthwhile to come out here. Because, yeah, sales are bad. I've seen some other resellers on YouTube, the ones that show what has sold for them. They seem to be doing fine. So, I think it's not anything wrong with eBay. Obviously, the economy is little bit rough out there, right? It's not great, but it's not hurting other resellers. I'm coming up with a new strategy. This is what I'm going to do starting today, August 20th, hopefully until I can see some big sales turnaround. What I'm going to do, what my normal strategy is when I go to list an item, like for example, this isn't a great example because it sold so quickly, but this Vitamix. I went and comped it. I looked at the current listings, I looked at the sold listings, and I kind of did some mental math and figured out a price that's not the lowest, not the highest, somewhere in the middle. And this just happened to sell right away. But a lot of my other items are not incredibly high in demand, expensive products like the Vitamix. So let's just use, we'll just use this as an example. Let's say that this was something that there were a whole bunch of these listed. And there were a bunch listed at $20, and a bunch listed at $30, and a bunch listed at $25, and it seems like $25 is a price that I could get for it, but it's not going to sell immediately. It's not going to sell right away. It might take a little bit of time, but it should sell within the next 90 days. So I would price that at $25, just hypothetically. That's my old strategy. Moving forward, I'm not going to do that. I am going to price it low. I need to see some stuff in my store moving. I think if I was to gauge my sell-through rate over the last month, it is really low, like 20% low. Things are not moving nearly as fast as they used to, and I think it's because I am sticking with an older pricing strategy when the economy was better and things were just rosier. So I'm going to try something different. And I'm going to start pricing things in that lower range, probably that $20 range in this hypothetical example that I'm talking about. I'm hoping I just need stuff to start moving faster. I feel like I'm maybe stuck in this eBay purgatory of sorts where I'm just not getting as much, my listings aren't showing up as much for other people. I don't know. I have no idea. It's just grasping at straws, but I feel like I gotta do something. I'm still listing a lot, my normal amount. I feel like I'm listing good quality items. Maybe they're just too expensive. So, I'm going to lower the price, and we will see how that strategy works. It's not going to be something probably that I'll see results in a couple of days. It might be a week or two or a month. I don't know, but I'm going to start that moving forward. But today I have nothing else to pull. Just have more listings to do, so you'll see me here in a few seconds, but it'll probably be a couple of days for me. We are back at day 2 of the video. It's actually several days later. It's Sunday. We've actually had some good sales. 2 more have sold for me on Poshmark and 7 on eBay. So things, I think, maybe are getting a little bit more back to normal. Still have a long ways to make this a good August, but the signs are positive. Let's start with a couple of eBay orders. None of these, I've sold all of these lots of knives that I've had. They have not been big money makers, but I guess the part that is most interesting to me is that they've sold it all. I've got this lot of 8 Frost Cutlery Storm Chaser 3 knives. There's 4 of them here. I'm going to have to grab the other 4. So these are just super cheap knives. They were in the storage unit auction that I bought. I don't know why they had so many of them, if they sold them or what, but these are, just like I said, super cheap, made in China knives. This lot of 8 of these bright green Storm Chaser 3s, if you look at that, they're just kind of obnoxious, sold for $20.99, free shipping. Next item, this is going to be like a crazy thing to ship. I think it might eat pretty much all the profit. Maybe not. I don't know. I sold this thing right here. Picked this up at my local thrift store for either $5 or $6. $4.99 or $5.99. I can't remember. It's a roost deflector is the technical term. It's for like motocross, like dirt bike, motorcycle type racing. And you put it on your body to protect your chest and things. This is from a company called MSR. And it's made in Italy. Wouldn't you think that would be worth a ton of money? It was worth $40, free shipping. Like I said, it'll be an interesting one to ship because it is very large. Hopefully, it'll be no more than about $16 or even $15, maybe $12, depending on where it goes. Where is it going? St. Joseph, Minnesota. So we're not getting cheap shipping on that one. But anyway, just little things you test out and try out and experiment with. I don't think I'm going to be buying any of those anytime soon. I did see one for sale over the weekend, and I did not buy it for that very reason. All right, we've got a nice sale here. SKU 0024. Bought this for $1 off of Whatnot. This is a Scotch Black and White Scotch Black and White Terrier shirt. These have good, like there's several of them listed, several of them have a sold. $18.74 plus shipping. This is vintage, single stitch, Scotch Black and White Terrier. It says Scotch Black and White on there, is why I keep saying that. T-shirts. I don't know. It just looked interesting when I bought it. I had no idea when I bought it that it had some value to it. So, and for $1, not that bad. I want to talk about a video that came out almost 2 weeks ago by Justin Resells. I'm just going to really touch on the highlights of it. I found it very interesting. In fact, I'm just going to recommend that you probably watch the full video to get the entire gist of it. It was really interesting because it was about this concept of the end your listing and either relist it or sell similar. A lot of people will talk about the benefits that can have because it can get rid of these old stale listings that eBay has kind of forgotten about, and can kind of refresh the listing. Maybe you want to change the price, maybe you want to change the title a little bit, change the photos around, do a little refresh on the listing as well, and then relist it and hopefully get a sale out of it. Well, eBay came out with their newsletter at least 11 days ago and said that it was a bit of a myth. It was a bit of a myth that selling or ending your listing and selling similar or relisting it had a positive effect on your listing. But that's what they wanted you to think when as he broke down in the video, the specific verbiage they use, the specific words that they use, were actually saying that it's not going to. So the verbiage they used is ending and relisting your items are the only way to get visibility on eBay. So they specifically said, and he highlighted this, it's the only way to get visibility. And of course, that is just not the case. It's not the only way to get visibility on your listings. We've seen forever that you just list your items, and sometimes they sell right away, or sometimes they sell after 6 months when you haven't ended and relisted. So they specifically chose this terminology about how it is the only way to get visibility. But ultimately, they also, in this, and it turned out it was a slide from some sort of an eBay like shareholder meeting or something like that, at a presentation. In there, they actually acknowledged for the first time that ending and relisting does in fact have positive benefits for your listings. They've never acknowledged that in the past. Everyone has just assumed through anecdotal evidence that that was actually the case, because there were these old stale listings that had no views, no activity for months and months and months, years in some case. They would end the listing, change the price a little bit or change the listing a little bit, relist it or sell similar that listing, and then all of a sudden within a week or two that item sells. That happens anecdotally. We've known about that for years, and this is the first time, as Justin Resells pointed out, this is the first time that eBay has actually acknowledged that phenomenon exists, which is pretty crazy because we've been talking about it for years, right? And again, I don't understand. If this in fact does boost sales, I don't know why eBay hides this information from us. Why don't they want us to sell more items? I don't know. But it's a great video. The specific title of it is eBay officially calls this seller strategy a myth, which is actually debunked in his video. But give him a view if you haven't watched that video yet, or if you haven't checked out his videos in the past. Sold this pair of Merrells on Poshmark for $23 plus shipping. Not a fantastic flip. I bought these for $9.99. It's getting to the end of the season. I got a $23 offer, so I took it. By the end of the season, I mean end of hiking season. These are hiking shoes. The Merrell Siren Sport Gore-Tex hiking shoes, $23 plus shipping. And then I had a pair of Ray-Ban eyeglasses that were in the storage unit auction. And those sold. Here they are in the case right here. I'll take them out in a little bit. They sold for $22 plus shipping. Just a nice pair of Ray-Ban glasses. You list them as frames only. You don't ever want to imply that there is a prescription that comes with this, because if you say it's a prescription pair of glasses, that gives some sort of opens up your liability. So these are considered frames only, even though they do have prescriptions in them. I think they might be reading glasses even. But even readers, I don't know about. But you don't want to take the risk. So $22 plus shipping on those. With the storage unit items, I kind of just say everything costs me about $5, because it was a little hard to keep track of everything. Because I still have these big giant items, the big value items, the jukebox, the CBD extractor. Those are the two main things. Oh, and a big, huge amplifier. I still haven't sold any of those things or listed them. That's where the bulk of the cost would be recouped from those, which I haven't even done anything with yet. So I just kind of say everything cost me $5. Not the greatest of strategies, but it's working in my mind. I sold another Bible, and this comes with a cautionary tale, not about this Bible, but about one that I sold in a previous video. I mentioned that I listed and sold a Bible, the Logos something or other Bible. I sold it in 11 minutes. Well, the buyer received it and immediately wanted to return it for good reason. In the listing, I said there was no underlining or highlighting. So Bibles, a lot of times, people will find their favorite passages, they will underline them, they will highlight them, and some people that they don't want that at all. Some people are okay with it. I flipped through there very briefly, and I didn't see any underlining. So I said in the description that there was no underlining that I could find. But when the buyer got the item, he opened it up, and I really did a poor job, it turns out, searching for the underlining, because there were, I bet you, probably 1 out of 50 pages was underlined, which out of a 1,000-page book or whatever, 1,500-page book like the Bible is, that turns out to be quite a few pages that are underlined, and I should have done a better job about it. So anyway, when you are looking through your Bibles to resell, no, you don't need to go through every single page to see if it's underlined, but do a better job than I did that last time. Flip through, so you're looking at just this process here. You're just flipping through, kind of looking, scanning. Takes you maybe 3 minutes to do the whole Bible. This one, luckily, I was correct about. There is no underlining that I can find. This is the one that I sold today, $29.99 plus shipping. This is the Zondervan Life Application Bible, New International Version. It does have a name on it, which can detract a little bit, but picked it up for $3.99, and it sold for $29.95 plus shipping. Had a resale. I think this is three more items left. This is a resale. Sold these once already, and somebody returned them because they were too small. So they resold again, a little bit less or lower price than they sold last time. Well, I was so lazy I never even took them out of the packaging. So I'll have to show you a picture of them. It's these Z-Coil shoes. These are like, they call these pain relief shoes. There's very interesting heels on them. And those sold for $60 plus shipping. Paid $20 for them, $19.99, so I did lower the price a little bit and then took an offer. Originally I had them listed for $90, I lowered them down to $80. Somebody offered me $60, and I took that, so we're good to go. Not too bad of a profit on that one, 20 into 60. As referenced earlier, I sold another lot of knives. This one is in a box. No, in a zip. And I believe this is my last big lot of knives. These are just smaller ones, but also a lot of 8. These are smaller knives, also sold for $20.99, free shipping. So those will probably be $6 to ship. The other ones will probably be like $9.50 to ship. So okay profit on those, but not great. And then the last item of the day is the final item from this big, nice lot of things that I purchased in this old vintage kit. This is a bunch of Vernier Pro statistical analysis testing equipment. I've sold so much of this stuff, I still don't know what it is for. Vernier Pro, Lab Pro, Data Logger Pro Collector with temperature probe. Okay. Anyway, I really hope I have the temperature probe in there. Yep, there it is. So, just think of it as some sort of like electronic or scientific equipment by a company called Vernier. Anyway, don't even know if they make this stuff anymore, and that's sold. Went internationally to Mexico City, or it's going internationally. $14.99 plus shipping on that. Made a ton of money off of those. Probably $300-ish off of a $10 purchase. So that was a really, well, let's just say $250. So that was a really nice purchase. Really good one. So like I said, sales are up. I'm going to have another video tomorrow where I pull another 10-ish items or so. Just turns out that panic is rarely the right response when you're doing the right things. Now, if you're just being old reliable, old faithful, you're going out sourcing regularly, you're listing regularly, you have good customer service, your service metrics are good. If everything stays the same and you have a big dip in sales, time and time again, it is shown that they will come back. Just stay the course. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Don't try and do some radical change. Just keep doing what you're doing if those conditions I mentioned are the case. If you have some sort of issue where a major sourcing outlet went away for you, you had this great thrift store, now it's out of business, or for whatever reason you've run out of money and you aren't able to source new items, or you have really bad service metrics and you go to below standard on your eBay store rating, or whatever reason, well, that might be cause for a little bit of panic, more likely just a little bit of a need to make some changes or larger tweaks to your business. But that wasn't the case for me, thankfully, even though I fell into that. I was sucked in to the worry. I was sucked into the trap. And I'm still not saying things are amazing. Things are just better and on the right trajectory moving forward. I'm still going to continue to do things like track my sell-through rate on a weekly basis. I'm still going to do all the things that I had been talking about. I might lower prices a little bit instead of shooting for the medium to high range of what items have sold for. I might start listing them in the low to bottom half of the recent sold listings. I still think I'm going to do that just from a just my general sense of the economy and how expensive things are getting, and how people's appetite for paying top dollar is evaporating to almost nothing. But we don't need to panic if we're doing the right things. So I need to remind myself of that, and in so doing, I hope to remind you as well. Thanks as always to the PDX Posse member, Harley Gal. Really, really appreciate your support. And if you want to support this channel by doing a small $2.99 monthly membership fee, please click on my username and choose the join button after opening up my profile. Thank you all for watching. Please like this video if you did. Subscribe to my channel to get more content like this in the future. Good luck with your ventures out there, reselling or otherwise. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.